My name's Sam Sawyer, CEO of Pinnacle Realty Advisors. I've been in real estate for 16 years. Started when I was 19 years old, um, when I was still in college at SMU. And then when I graduated, couldn't get a job because it was the depths of the financial crisis in 2010, and started working at Sotheby's in Dallas just as an agent, representing buyers and sellers. Then left there in 2018 with two other agents from Sotheby's, and we started a firm called The Collective that we built up to 30 agents or so, maybe more, 40. And then we ended up selling that company to Compass like end of 2018, and then launched Compass in Texas 2019. Or launched Compass, yeah, starting in Dallas, but all over Texas in 2019. And then I stayed there for about a year or so, and then moved out to Silicon Valley and started working at a startup called Zero Down. It's like a fintech mortgage company. Left there June of 2020, and then started this company in, I guess, August of 2020. And fast forward today, and now there's 20 or so employees and almost 600 agents in 5 states. So when I was an agent before, it was always like really confusing why the commission split business model, the commission split business model has been in place since the industry started. I mean, it really started out because agents had access to information, consumers didn't know what was on the market. So you kind of you had to use an agent to know even what was for sale. I mean, you could look at stuff in the newspaper, but you really didn't know what was, for sale unless you had an agent. And then kind of the commission fee just became a way that the business just kind of was, and it's never really changed. I mean, even today, 95% of the, firms in America are still commission split business model. When I was an agent, I never understood. I was on a high commission split because I was a, top producing agent, but I still didn't understand why you're paying so much money. And I was still spending money on services outside of the firm because the firms didn't do everything. Nothing bad about the firms I worked at. I loved the places I worked. It was just kind of just how the industry is. Like, some firms provide certain things and certain tools, but really none of them provide everything that an agent wants or needs. So a lot of agents will always go outside the firm, for marketing or certain services or transaction coordinators or whatever. And so I was just, while I was in San Francisco, kind of had a lot of time to think, being away from the real estate. And that was the first time I hadn't been in the real estate, like brokerage industry, in 12 years. So I had a lot of time to like gain a new perspective about the industry, being kind of in the fintech space. And just thought, why is there not a way where you can pay like a monthly fee and then choose what you want to use outside of that? So I've kind of used this analogy before, but it's like the sponsorship plan's kind of like having an iPhone where, you get access to like all the tools and features in the app store, but you can pick and choose what you want. So it's like, you pay a certain monthly price and you get the basic services. And if you want to add on certain things, it's like going into an app store in a way, which to me is like our, version of Pinnacle HQ. So it's like agents can pay for what they want outside of just the sponsorship plan, but we shouldn't take 30% of what they make just because we're like, providing normal services that brokerages provide. And then the main thing to me is like, I don't think agents use offices. So everyone's like, oh, did you think of that during the pandemic? And it's like, really? I had that thought before, because when I was an agent, I would hardly ever go to the office. And these companies spend, some company, millions of dollars a year in rent, and the agents go there once a week to eat like donuts. Seriously. I mean, people are probably laughing at this, but literally like on Mondays would be the only times agents would really go into the office because there's like an office meeting. And I think the whole idea to me is like just creating a new business model architecture for the entire industry. So it's not just low price or like good service or, I don't think there's one certain thing that we're doing that, like sets us apart in a way. It's kind of like the combination of the entire package, but really rethinking the you rethink the business model from the ground up. Like on the surface, a lot of people are like, oh, are y'all just a low cost firm? And it's like, no, like price to me is just one feature. It's like we're rethinking the entire like business model architecture is a firm or term I like to use a lot, where it's like you're rethinking the whole thing, where it's like the pricing model and the revenue model is new, but we still have like old school features in a way where really good service, really good support. But to me, it's like we're productizing a service. So instead of there being like this gray area of like what you get, you kind of know exactly what you get. You know, you pay a certain price for our sponsorship plans, you get a certain level of service, or like the white label plan, or if you're a commercial agent or transaction fee agent. So you know exactly what you get on the certain plans. And if you want to add on features like the App Store reference, then you can pick and choose what you want. I don't know. To me, it's like I study and think about a lot of other business models, and it's applying a lot of thoughts in like the enterprise software space, but to the brokerage industry. So nothing to do with like actual building of software. I want to make that super clear. It's really just like the business model where it's monthly fee based pricing model, and then there's set levels of like service and support. And if you want to add on features, you can pick and choose what you want. Every single agent in the world runs their business a different way. So it's hard to me to like cram everyone into like one way of thinking like all these legacy brokerage firms do. Pinnacle Realty Advisors, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to classify the company, but the one term that I like to use, or something that we've kind of coined recently, is brokerage as a service. And so to us, it's kind of a play on like, software as a service, or just kind of like that term in the industry. But brokerage as a service to us is it's like rethinking the brokerage model, where the agent has a lot more freedom on our platform. There's not lots of rules. It's cloud-based, subscription-based pricing model. The entire company, runs online. So we don't have any physical offices for the agents. We have some small satellite offices in certain cities, but, for the most part, our entire staff is remote. We're always available. There's always someone there to answer your question. You don't have to like walk down the hallway to meet with your broker. Like you can contact our brokers in various ways. You can get in touch with marketing. If you have a question about, getting paid on a closing, it's like, you message the operations team. Everything we do and think about is how can we make the agent lives better? How can we save them money? Is there some tool out there that we can, add to Pinnacle HQ that they may not know about, or they may want us to add because it helps them with their business? Marketing services. There's so many things you can add on and provide. And it's like an a la carte menu pricing, where it's like, you know what you get, you pay for it. We provide a good level of service. It's better, cheaper, faster than them going somewhere else. Pinnacle HQ is our agent services marketplace, where all Pinnacle agents can access Pinnacle HQ. They can find, things they need to run their business, forms, FAQs about yard signs. They can order business cards. They can access, marketing materials, partnerships that we have with other companies, like Agent by Design is a like Canva for real estate agents tool. And then we also have a place where you can search for vendors, like, anything affiliated with a home. So every real estate agent gets asked, who's the best roofer? Who's the best plumber? Who's the best this? Consumers trust their real estate agents more than they trust a lot of people in their life when it comes to the home. So even once you sell someone a home, the agent still has a job for like years down the road sometimes. Like I even still have friends or clients text me questions like, who's the best photographer, or who's this? And so there's a whole opportunity to me with Pinnacle HQ to just keep providing like services for the agents that they want and need, but it's organized like kind of in one place, where going back to the app store idea, it's like an app store for real estate agents, but specifically for ones that are on our platform. So literally anything they could, want or need to run their business, from training to data to research to marketing services to software tools to just company things, they can find in Pinnacle HQ. And as we grow, I think that becomes a huge part of the business, where you keep adding services and tools and training and data and research all into this platform. And then, you combine the low cost on the sponsorship side with Pinnacle HQ, and it's I mean, those two things together, it makes it hard for an agent to go somewhere else once they join us. When you join an old school brokerage firm, it's like, oh, come into the office, let's meet, let's fill out the paperwork literally with like pen and paper. Where with our company, you can go on our website, pick a plan, sign up, pay with your credit card. And then the next thing you know, you get an email, hey, welcome to Pinnacle HQ, which is, starts the onboarding process. Agents can sign up, join, they can order a website, they can start everything theoretically without talking to anyone, but we have, tons of people on the staff side that help with onboarding and operations and marketing and everything in one place. So like if you're at a traditional firm, you're used to like companies taking all this money. The reason why that those companies have to do that is their entire company is set up differently. Most of them have lots of overhead with office space or big staff. They have lots of salaries they have to pay. A lot of their money goes towards rent. A lot of the traditional firms, like even the publicly traded firms, rent is one of their biggest expenses. And so with us, obviously if we had all those expenses, we couldn't run the company in this way. But also I think 5 years ago, you couldn't have run a company necessarily like ours either, because software was more expensive. Tools are more expensive. Like everything was more expensive a few years ago, but now like software gets cheaper every year. So like running a company, just running a company in general, not just a real estate business, but tools that companies use today are way cheaper than they were 5 years ago. They get cheaper every year. Agents are used to not being in offices, especially after the pandemic. I think that's been like a mental shift where people are just used to working from wherever. And we don't have rent payments that, we have to like pay every month that take a huge chunk of our revenue. So like, that's what I talk about with the business model architecture. It's like from the ground up, it's like our whole company is built differently. So it's like, to me, it's like we're like a new construction home, to use like a real estate analogy. It's like we've literally started with the foundation. We're rebuilding the whole company. So like we don't look anything like a traditional like legacy business model where they have all these like outdated costs and expenses and things that we just don't have. So like under the hood, like agents looking in don't think about that because they're just used to assuming that there's all this cost and expense. And another thing that people don't think about is a lot of local brokerages, the broker has to take a salary out of that company too. So it's almost like a lifestyle business to a lot of these people. So like a local broker in a city, they might want to make a certain amount of money per year to support their lifestyle or how they like to live. So that's really like a completely different mentality than building a company like ours, where you want to build like a platform and scale something into a nationwide brand. Traditional firms with traditional expenses like all start looking the same when they scale because they have same cost structures and things like that. So I think that's the biggest difference, is having office space versus not is a huge thing, just fundamentally cost wise, that makes a company way easier to operate. And our revenue model is way better long term because we know we can plan better. We get paid every month by the agents. Traditional firms can't forecast anything financially because they only get paid when there's a closing. And so like they can look at historical data, but we know that like agents join, they agree to stay for a certain amount of time. We're getting paid every month, whether they buy or sell something. That's good for us and it's good for them. And so like it's not like it's one-sided. They know their cost. It's super transparent. We think about agent community and bringing our agents together big time. It's like a lot of people, other people have said, oh, if you don't have an office, like how do you build a culture and things like that? And like, to me, it's like the office space wasn't where like a lot of the culture was built at traditional firms. I think a lot of people assume that's where things happen, but a lot of things happen outside the office. So like we still are very, interested and hosting like agent events. Like we don't have to have an office to host an agent event. Like a couple of weeks ago, we threw an event in Louisiana. We had 50 or 60 agents show up. Some of our staff was there, and I think agents just want to have the like social connection. And so there's ways to blend like those things with a cloud-based company that don't necessarily revolve around the office. This goes back to like just people having like outdated thought, and that's not a bad thing, but there's ways to have like a new age business model and still have old school type in-person events, which that's not old school, but you can host happy hours or agent events or have a speaker come. Um, we are giving them the like social connection, the community, and all these things, but saving them money by not having a physical office space and just finding creative ways to bring people together. I would think in 3 years, I would think we would be in all 50 states. Right now our plan is we're really focused on growing in the 5 states that we're in or launching right now with Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Florida, North Carolina. But once we figure out things in those states, those are all very different markets. So it's not like those are randomly chosen. Like Louisiana and Arkansas are seen as more outdated markets than like a Texas or Florida. And so to me, the way I think about it is if this can work in all price ranges, all like agent demographics, like small towns, big towns, progressive cities like Austin or Dallas, Miami, and like a state, North Carolina to me is a state that's like kind of in the middle. Like it's growing a lot, forward thinking state, but a lot of the brokerage models there are still kind of the legacy type model. So if you can have an agent that's happy in like the middle of nowhere in like Arkansas and also a happy that sells like $10 million homes in Dallas and like a commercial team in Miami, or like an agent that uses our white label plan, like we're building like a platform where an agent can pick what they want. Doesn't matter. We don't pick and choose based on, oh, you have to sell $5 million luxury homes, or we're only in like suburban markets. Like a lot of legacy firms kind of pigeonhole themselves into being a certain, property type or city or things, where with us, we'd love to have an agent that sells lake houses in, Galveston, Texas, like on the coast, and someone selling like $20 million homes in Palm Beach. And our model's set up for that. So it kind of goes back to letting people choose how they want to run their business, but we don't like selectively recruit certain agents or things like that where they have to be in a certain price point or, a certain city or things like that. So we think about it state by state. And if we can work in these 5 states, there's no reason we can't be in all 50 states. I think sooner than 3 years. My role, like how I think about it today, is just building a really good team at the company and kind of hiring. Like I think about, you hire tens, like Steve Schwartzman, who started Blackstone, has this whole theory about you hire tens and then you stay out of their way. So I think about that a lot. It's like my role to me is like, I'm not like a micromanager. It's more like sharing ideas and things that I've learned with our team. And then you hire good team members in certain teams, like on the team, and let them kind of like run with that part of the company. So like I very, very clearly think about our company as like, engineering, marketing, operations, growth, success, and product. And then you have like little teams within the company. And I mean, really my job is just to make sure people are happy, think about things that other people aren't thinking about, try to think like 3 or 6 months ahead. It's not like we're trying to like reinvent the whole process from the beginning. We're not like trying to get rid of agents or build some crazy business model. It's like, I think we're trying to combine like new age thoughts, like being cloud-based or this subscription-based model, but we're also combining like some old school things, like really good service, really good support. We're not trying to like automate everything. It's like, there's a balance with having cool ideas, but also like, some old school things that agents are used to. Most of these like disruptive companies in the industry today, like don't have former real estate agents on the team, which is crazy to me. Like a lot of them are pure tech people. And so they think they understand agents, or like how this, everyone's like, oh, how has this never changed? How has this never changed? Because most people don't understand how complicated this industry is. And so like, I think I have a unique perspective. Starting when I was 19, I've probably sold like over 1,000 homes. I was one of the top agents in America in 2016. Like, I don't care about all that stuff, but like, I've had lots of transactions. I've been in the business a while. I've worked at different firms. And I'm not old. I'm 36, which I think is still pretty young. But you have this like unique perspective because you're still young and understand and want things to be different, but like you appreciate like the old school things in a way. And so I think the way you build a huge business in this space is kind of having both sides of that. You can't have outsiders have a really hard time understanding agents in this business because we've been in so many deals and have been in the industry and have been at commission split firms. It's not like I just woke up one day and was like, oh, commission splits are stupid. I've paid hundreds of thousands or maybe over $1 million in fees to firms. And so like I feel the pain, and I've paid money outside of the firms to get things that I wanted. And so I'm really building this because it's like something that I wish that I had as an agent. I don't think you'll find another firm that's thinking about the agent as much as we are and like really making that person our customer. And that's really all we think about. And so like from the pricing to the service and everything, it's like we're not trying to compete with like getting consumers' attention or like becoming this huge like consumer facing brand or direct to consumer brand. So it's like, I don't know, it sounds simple, but it's like the agent is our customer. We think about the agent all the time. Anything we can do to save people money or make their life easier, we believe is the way to like make the industry better, because the agent is kind of the center of the transaction. They're like a CEO of their own business in a way. And so if we can just make the agent better, more efficient, to me, that's how you make the whole transaction experience better. If an agent's making more money, they can be more excited about spending money on marketing or investing in tools that help their clients. Or there's a million ways that it like compounds in other areas for the agent's life or business that a lot of the public doesn't think about, but that's all we think about. And so I think being an agent at our firm, you get a lot of advantages and you save a lot of money, but it's a lot more than just saving money. It's all the other things that come with it.